Senator Booker has taken to the floor of the Senate to speak as long as he can, and perhaps longer than any member of the Senate in known history. He described the event as this is not a partisan moment, it's a moral one. And he's outlined 4 areas in the time he's been speaking since Monday: healthcare, education, immigration, national security. And he said he intended to disrupt as long as he is able on the floor of the Senate. He's concerned that they want to cut Medicaid, Social Security, Medicare. And he points to Trump and Elon as evidence of a complete disregard for the rule of law, the Constitution, and the needs of the American people. Now keep in mind, he's talking continuously, and what I'm saying are excerpts in the spirit of Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, if you will, a mythical representation of a representative from the people in the upper chamber talking to America and to his members as to what is going on, and that we cannot let it stand. What Booker is doing is important. It is, however, only words. But we've been short even of the words that Booker is now saying. And we have seen other members of Congress, in the House and the Senate, touring the country in Republican and Democratic districts, giving this similar message. Protest is a form of action. And we're seeing more of that in town meetings. And I participated in one recently myself as a panelist. But I thought that the panelists, since the crowd was so agreeable, were facilitators for a discussion about where do we go from here. And as dangerous as it ever is to synthesize the opinion of a group of people, I think it's fair to say that every person there, as far as I could see of the hundreds who were there, opposed the message that is Trump's dystopic regency, and 2, they want something to happen. They want action. They're less concerned about elective office because there's too much of a delay, and Trump is closing on his prize. And we can't afford to be fighting about the kind of government we have in an electoral fight when it could be too late. There might be no midterms. So what we have is we have people in elective office who have an identity crisis about how to operate and what is the delivery system for the action that should go with the words. There are some obvious things. When Congressman Green from Texas stood up and protested the so-called State of the, quote, Union message, he was hurried out of the chambers. No one went with him. They could have, but they didn't. That was a failure. A failure of hearing your soul and doing what everything in your body must have told you as an elected official today when you first ran for office and what your conception was of what your job was to do. when you raised your hand and took that oath, and when you fought for the things that you cared about when you ran for office. And over the years, those things may have been substituted, but there had to always be an allegiance to the critical documents that made us independent, that gave us a government, and that has become more perfect over time and is now being trashed by the fat man from Queens. And we can't have that. We have to act. We have to be doing something. We should have walked out with Congressman Green. Every Democrat should have gotten up and left, but they didn't. Trump has said to a journalist that the key to power, the thing that's most determinative, is fear. So when you read a crowded newspaper or listen to the radio and you hear all of these terrible things planned, happening, intended, even when pushed back, you have a fear for yourself, for your family, for your community, for your nation, for the people that we were friends with across the world. We can't have fear motivate us. Oh, I understand it, but the timing is critical, because right now, Trump hasn't sold the deal, and we have to see that he doesn't. I'm not talking about anything out of the ordinary. When Congressman Green was censured for protesting the misconduct of Trump and his incompetent conspirators, a small group got up, I think it was exclusively the Black Caucus, and sang "We Shall Overcome." Why can't the entire House decide that tomorrow at 11 o'clock, without telling anybody, on some bill or other, they're just going to break out in song and say that, and circulate information, and stand on the steps of the Congress and tell people that the fight is on, and then come back into chambers and drop in the hopper bills and resolutions that are the remedy, including Article 14, Section 3, because the president has now announced that he wants to overthrow the government's constitution as to when and how he can be in office. An echo of the crimes of January the 6th. An echo of the corrupt branding of Trump for his position as unwanted wannabe dictator. We've seen a great law firm, Paul Weiss, watch its soul disintegrate. We've seen Columbia fold, my alma mater, before Trump's fear and loathing. I just wish the gonzo journalist was around to write about this, because he would tell it as the comics do at night, more truthful than any fucking host that we listen to on a day-to-day basis. No one speaks clearer about where we are than the comics, because this is a fool's game, and we have the clowns running us into the ground with fear. Some may look into that abyss of uncertain consequences and decide they're going to do the right thing. We understand those who fall short. It's understandable. But there are no innocent bystanders. We have to learn the lesson now that others did not appreciate. And it is, well, to borrow from Benjamin Franklin, we all hang together or we all hang separately. And I'm not saying it literally, but I am saying it metaphorically, in the sense that the rights and freedoms we now enjoy are at risk, no matter who you are, the color of your face, your religion, where you came from, your accent, your status economically, what you choose to do as a profession, what your sexual identity is, what your age is, any of these things. So we have to keep that all in mind when we're deciding how we act. And we have to act. Now is the time to resist, when it's not too late, when Trump and his conspirators haven't yet closed us out. They are trying, but it's up to us to make sure that they don't prevail. Are they on the ropes? No. We can't let fear be his ally. We must find the courage because we care about each other. We care about our loved ones, our friends. We care about our community. We care about our nation. And we care to be seen by everyone for whom we are and have been, which a nation that believes in equal justice, a nation that believes we have a right to vote to affect who represent us in this republic. So, those are a couple of thoughts I have today, and I think that we have to constantly run threads through the things we see on a daily basis that assault us and understand how they fit from both Trump's standpoint and how we must resist it from our standpoint. So, that's what I have to say from my Cathedral of Trees. With any luck, I'll talk to you tomorrow without rain.